Imagine this. You fall through time, plunging back over 500 million years. No trees, no birds, no dinosaurs, just barren landscapes, shallow seas, and monsters. The Paleozoic Era wasn't just ancient, it was alien. And if you made even one wrong step, you'd be torn apart by creatures that barely resemble anything alive today. These are the apex predators of a forgotten Earth, the worst ones to ever get caught by. Chapter 1. Cambrian Carnage. Anomalocaris. Our journey starts in the Cambrian period, over 500 million years ago. Life had just exploded into complexity, and the oceans were swarming with strange, soft-bodied creatures, but one predator ruled them all. Anomalocaris. At up to 1 meter long, a true giant for the time. Anomalocaris was the ocean's first super predator. It had a pair of spiny, grasping appendages that could crush prey like trilobites, and a bizarre circular mouth lined with overlapping plates that spun like a buzzsaw. Once it got a grip on you, it would clamp down, twist, and tear. And remember, most prey at this time didn't even have jaws. In a world of soft bodies and slow swimmers, this thing was a guided missile of death, and you wouldn't even see it coming. With large compound eyes packed with thousands of lenses, Anomalocaris had some of the best vision in Earth's early oceans. A predator with cutting-edge eyes and a circular death blender for a mouth. Yeah, you don't want to be around for that. But it wasn't just about size and weapons. It was about evolution. Anomalocaris marked one of the earliest known instances of an animal taking control of the food chain. It was the prototype for all apex predators to come, and its reign set the stage for hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary arms races. Chapter 2. The Deavonian Deathbite Dunkleosteus. Fast forward 100 million years to the Deavonian period, the so-called Age of Fishes, but this was no peaceful aquarium. Welcome to the era of Dunkleosteus, the armored fish tank with a bite that could rival a modern crocodile, reaching lengths of 9 meters, 30 feet. Dunkleosteus was the terror of the ancient seas. Instead of teeth, it had 2 bone-crushing plates that snapped together with over 4,000 newtons of force. That's strong enough to bite through bone, shell, and even other armored fish. And it didn't chew. It guillotined. The moment it opened its mouth, suction dragged its prey in, and the bone plates slammed shut like a hydraulic press. Fossil evidence even shows broken bones inside Dunkleosteus' guts, not just from its prey, but from cannibalistic battles with its own kind. It was a death machine wrapped in steel. This thing was the alpha of its time. It could swim fast, hit hard, and didn't need to chew slowly. If you were a living creature in the Deavonian oceans, Dunkleosteus was the one predator you never wanted to see. Too late? You'd already be in pieces. Its dominance reshaped marine ecosystems. Smaller predators adapted by becoming faster, sneakier, or developing armor of their own. But even those adaptations weren't always enough. Dunkleosteus was simply too well engineered for carnage. It pushed evolution forward like a battering ram. Chapter 3. Carboniferous Nightmares. Meganeura and Arthropleura. By the Carboniferous period, Earth was hot, humid, and full of oxygen. A perfect storm for oversized bugs. And nothing shows that better than Meganeura, the prehistoric dragonfly. With a wingspan over 75 centimeters, 2.5 feet, Meganeura was a silent killer of the skies. It was a hyper-efficient aerial predator that hunted frogs, insects, and even small amphibians. Think of it like a dragonfly crossed with a bird of prey. And with no birds to challenge it, Meganeura ruled the skies. Its dominance wasn't just due to flight. The elevated oxygen levels of the time allowed insects to grow larger than they ever could today. Meganeura had the airspace all to itself, and it used that freedom to carve out an apex niche in an airborne ecosystem still in its infancy. But the ground wasn't any safer. Enter Arthropleura, a millipede-like monstrosity that could grow over 2.5 meters, 8 feet long. It slithered through the underbrush like a tank made of armored plates. While it likely fed on detritus and plants, this was an animal that nothing could mess with. Fossil trackways show it could move fast, and with its size and strength, even a curious swipe could shatter smaller animals. Some scientists speculate it may have had a form of primitive chemical defense, possibly secreting noxious substances to ward off would-be predators. Others believe it may have occasionally scavenged, especially if food was scarce. Either way, nothing hunted it. It was the boss of the forest floor. Being caught between a giant dragonfly in the air and a land centipede the size of a couch on the ground, Carboniferous Earth was not a place for the squeamish. Chapter 4. Perian Predators, Inostrancevia and Rubidja. Finally, we arrive in the Permian period, where things get truly terrifying. Dinosaurs don't exist yet, but their distant relatives do, and they're armed with saber teeth and bad attitudes. Meet Inostrancevia, the largest gorgonopsid ever discovered. It was about 3.5 meters, 11.5 feet, long, built like a Komodo dragon, but with a head that looked more like a saber-toothed cat. Its canines were over 15 centimeters long, curved, serrated, and made for puncturing lungs, arteries, and spinal cords. It wasn't just a predator, it was a prehistoric assassin. What made Inostrancevia particularly dangerous was its advanced hunting strategy. Fossil evidence suggests it may have ambushed prey using stealth and terrain, rather than brute force alone. Some even propose it hunted in pairs or small family groups, adding coordination to its lethal toolkit. And if you thought Africa was safe, think again. There you'd meet Rubidja, Inostrancvia's equally terrifying cousin. It had a heavier build, more robust skull, and an even nastier bite. Despite being a therapsid, a group that would eventually evolve into mammals, Rubidja was more like a living chainsaw. Its saber teeth were designed to slice through thick hides, and it had skull reinforcements to survive brutal clashes with other predators. Rubidja was also larger on average and may have hunted even bigger prey. Its bones show evidence of repetitive stress, possibly from wrestling down prey or battling others of its kind. It was the last word in Permian predation before the world ended. Both ruled their respective regions in the late Permian, but their reign would end with the Great Dying, the largest extinction event in Earth's history. Over 90% of marine life and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates were wiped out in the aftermath. But before that apocalypse, these two saber-faced nightmares were untouchable. Chapter 5. The Silurian Surprise. Sea Scorpions. Let's rewind for one last horror story. Back in the Silurian seas, an odd group of arthropods were thriving. These were the Eurypterids, better known as sea scorpions, and some of them got very big. The most infamous? Jacalopterus. It grew up to 2.5 meters, 8 feet long, making it the largest arthropod to ever live. Imagine a mix between a lobster, a scorpion, and a nightmare. It had spiked claws to grip prey, a segmented tail for swimming, and possibly a stinger. Jacalopterus may have hunted armored fish and other sea creatures by ambushing them from murky depths. Its claws had spines that could hold prey in place, while its mouthparts did the rest. And while we're not sure if it could survive in brackish or fresh water, some species of sea scorpions definitely could. Its vision was also unusually good for an arthropod. Studies of its compound eyes show that it could detect movement quickly, an advantage when both hunting and avoiding rival predators. And yes, there were rival sea scorpions. Some evidence even suggests they engaged in violent battles for territory. So yes, it's possible that 400 million years ago, rivers and lakes were ruled by literal monster scorpions. Conclusion: the era before dinosaurs. The Mesozoic gets all the love. Dinosaurs, giant reptiles, flying beasts. But the Paleozoic was no less dangerous. In fact, it may have been worse. These were predators forged in the chaos of Earth's early experiments with life. Giant bugs, armored jawfish, saber-toothed proto-mammals, each one designed by nature to dominate. Don't forget to subscribe for more prehistoric horrors. To watch the next Jurassic Zoo episode, click here.